Today's show is brought to you by Harry's. Please visit harrys.com and use the promo code Filmcast to save $5 off your first purchase. That's harrys.com at HARRYS.com and use the promo code Filmcast to save $5 off your first purchase.
Slash Filmcast for the girls, boys, old, young, and we watch till the last of the credits is done.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slash Filmcast, the official podcast of SlashFilm.com. I'm David Chen, and with me are
Devindra Hardwar
and Jeff Kanata with a very hoarse voice.
And welcome to the show.
I apologize.
It's okay. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning in for the first time, find more of our episodes at slashfilmcast.com. Email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. It's been a while since we've done an episode, a full-blown episode, so we're gonna pull the full Monty for you guys today. We're gonna talk about what we've been watching this week. A lot of stuff to mention there. We have some film news to discuss, and then we are going to dive into our review of Guardians of the Galaxy. But first, let's go through some emails and listener feedback, guys. So there has been a lot of controversy over the last few weeks about remarks that were made in the last episode of the Slash Filmcast. I refer, of course, to Devindra's dismissive remarks and also us joining in on the pile-on. Dismissive remarks against the app RunP. Listener Josh writes in, I just wanted to write in to say, I think you're doing your listeners a huge disservice just to write off the RunP app as not useful. You talk about how you shouldn't be using apps while inside the movie theater. Well, that's great, because RunP is designed so that you look at it before you go into the theater. Devindra says that it's not useful. I'm not really sure why he thinks this. Perhaps because you guys see a lot of early shows, and the developers can't add in P times that early. As someone who really enjoys a large Coke with my popcorn, I find RunP to be invaluable. So thanks for that email, Josh. You can always, of course, write in to us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So RunP is an app that you look it up, and it tells you when you can go pee if you need to go urinate.
And not miss anything.
And not miss anything important.
Which, by the way, when this app first came out, we thought it was a cool idea. Let me just point this out. This was several years ago. So.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Devindra, how did you fall out of love with RunP?
There's a workflow, right, of when you prepare to sit and watch a movie.
There's
right?
definitely a workflow.
Yeah, there's a workflow, right? And you either prepare like, okay, you're going to worry about when you're going to pee when you go see a movie, or guys, you use the bathroom at the very last moment before the movie starts. You know, that's kind of how you time it. That's my philosophy, right? If I drink something before, I just try to go to the bathroom as close to the start of the movie and the trailers and everything as I can. I don't want to deal with like pre-planning when I'm going to actually pee during a movie. I do this, I do the early pee, so I don't have to think about that. It's actually easier that way. The problem with Boyhood is that it is basically 3 hours long. So it is it was much longer than I anticipated. My whole system fell apart, and I was left there,
so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. I was left there just like trying to figure out, like, should I just sit there and suffer through it? Should I run out? So in that situation, RunP is not helpful. I'm sorry. I can't pre-plan my peeing, unfortunately. But if you want to get ready for it, then yeah, it's useful for those.
Hold on. Okay, so firstly, let's point out the pros and cons of using an app like RunP.
Yes.
Okay. Firstly, Josh is correct. We do see movies in advance. We're fortunate enough to. So oftentimes,
I like to call it pre-RunP. I see movies pre-RunP.
We see movies in a pre-RunP era. That's true.
Yeah.
So as a result, there are often no RunP times, right, for us, right? So that's just, on a basic level, like practical level, we can't use RunP, okay?
Now, well, let me just say, like, compare the number of, like, early screenings I go to versus actual normal people screenings, like, is probably, I don't know, 4 to 1 at this point. Yeah. I see a lot of movies that I can't make the press screening for whatever reason.
Right.
Or I like to see movies, guys. So it's not like we're some fancy critics here.
Correct. But I'm just, you're right. I'm just trying to be
like the normals.
I'm just trying amongst you. Our bladder is getting fuller by the minute.
I would like to point out that I have never downloaded the app RunP, nor do I have any intention of using it.
Okay, well, Jeff, explain. All right, well, let me go through my rundown and then my RunP rundown, and then you can explain why you don't download it. But I guess one of the issues that I have with the RunP app is that you're giving
You're in. Sorry,
you're giving control of your movie watching experience to someone you have no idea what this person's gonna decide is going to be useful or not. Yeah, like maybe you want to watch this scene of complete silence between these two side characters. You know, like maybe that's important for the director. That the director like wants you to see that scene, and to surrender that autonomy to someone who's making the decisions off of like what criteria. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know.
It's true. It's true. And
now that being said, let's say you're in a theater and you have to go. Like, you're in a situation where you have no knowledge at all of what's coming next anyway.
Right.
So is having some random stranger decide when you go pee any worse than you having to decide for yourself based on even less criteria because you haven't seen the rest of the film yet? I don't know.
Here's my thing. I'm kind of siding with Devindra on this. The use of the RunP app intimates that you have decided that you cannot make it through this entire movie without.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know this going in. You are pre-planning going in that you know you can't make it through this movie. So A, probably shouldn't be going to movies, dude. Sorry. B, there is no courteous way to use this app, contrary to our emailers' assertion.
Well, you can't check it before, Jeff?
Well,
You can check it before, but you still have to check the time.
No, so the app tells you about it gives you an idea of a scene that's going to happen. So it's like when this character goes to, actually steps out the room or something crazy happens, then at that moment you're free to go pee. But it does.
Okay. In the rare instance where you are such a small bladder that you know you cannot make it, and you've checked this thing out, and you've decided to sit on an aisle because the only acceptable RunP user is an aisle sitter. Because if you're in the middle of the friggin' theater and you stand up to go to pee, I already hate you. Because you're like, excuse me.
Aisle seater or side seater? Please.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Continue, though, Jeff.
So there's a number of hoops you have to jump through. All so that you can slurp down a giant Coke when you're in the movie. Is the Coke worth? Is the freaking cola in your veins worth all of the hullabaloo you have to jump through to create a situation where you were definitely going to miss part of the movie that you paid a lot of money to see, regardless of how useful or useless it was determined to be by the RunP staff?
Okay, well, that being said, Jeff, I do want to say, let's not be insensitive. There might be people who have,
I'm pee insensitive.
There might be people who have incontinence issues or health, maybe you're a normal
there are
person.
legitimate reasons.
Yeah, you might have gotten in an accident, and then as a result, you can't, you have Crohn's disease. Who knows? There's all these reasons why you might want to use something like this.
Yeah.
I think it's just we're pointing out why it's problematic. And I mean, I think you're right, checking the time, or even, arguably, being spoiled.
I don't think our emailer has any of the sensitivity issues that you brought up. He was saying, I like to enjoy a large drink.
I'm just saying, you're right. I agree that the emailer, Joshua, his concerns are completely illegitimate. But I think what I'm saying is I can imagine a situation where it might be legitimate. Do you know what I'm saying? Where you might have a health problem and you might want to use the app. But I think Jeff points out, right? Okay, so I'm looking at screenshots of the RunP app right now, and they're giving you times. So you have to check your time, which is obviously disruptive in a theater. Or there's a quotation here where it gives you a quote from a character. And some of these are maybe spoilery, you know what I mean?
When
so
Luke
for example,
says, or when Vader says, "I am your father," just get up. And that's the last interesting thing that happens.
You're right. I mean, it's usually not that bad, but sometimes it will give you, I'm looking at the Guardians of the Galaxy RunP suggestion, and you could. These are arguably spoilery. You know?
Yeah.
So it is problematic to be using RunP, I think, at best.
I think, Jeff, you brought up the best point, right? Is when I go into a movie, I don't want to leave. I don't want anything to take me out. So the whole pee situation is usually like an emergency level thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so at an emergency level, I'm not going to go, I'm so glad that I read that RunPee app for every movie that I go to. So now I can think about when it would be. You just got to get up and go. And that's like a last ditch solution. That's all other, holding it is just not an option. And I've been in that situation maybe once in my life. And it's unfortunate, but it happens from now and again. Yeah. I don't think I need an app on my phone for that situation.
One thing I do want to point out is generally I try to avoid leaving a movie whenever it starts, and it's always a risk. I just don't want to ruin the whole sensation, right? The times I've gotten used to it, and the times I actually kind of enjoy it, is when I'm sitting through a huge giant slog. So Transformers movies recently,
it's like
have been great.
The urination during that movie is actually a respite from the movie.
Exactly. It's a relief in more ways than one, is what you're
2 hours in, right, into Transformers 4, I went to the bathroom. I had a nice, I had a nice think to myself. I looked in the mirror.
It's the only time you think through that entire movie.
Exactly. I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I walked back in. They're in the same scene. Nothing has changed in that movie. So I felt okay for Transformers.
So overall, I would say if you are in a situation where you have to use it, I don't think any of us begrudge you. But if you have the choice to use it, right? I think that's where me, Jeff, and Devindra are like, what? Like, why would you choose to load up on Coke and then leave the theater halfway through the movie? That just makes... Why would you ever do that? That makes no sense.
If you do that, please be an aisle sitter. That's all we ask.
Yeah, please be an aisle sitter. Exactly. Yes. Okay. The only other thing, that conversation went on longer than I thought it would. The only other thing I want to mention before we get to the show is I guess it is worth pointing out that this whole Boyhood hullabaloo that's going on, Boyhood has now... I got an email this week from someone who I assume was promoting Metacritic or Boyhood. But Boyhood is now... reached the extremely rare perfect 100 Metascore at Metacritic.com with 40-plus reviews.
And cue the backlash articles. Go.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think they're
waiting for.
I don't think they're backlash, but I think that, and I posted this on the /Filmcast Facebook page. You can find it at facebook.com//Filmcast. Kenneth Turan wrote this piece for the LA Times about how it's really lonely to be someone who's saying anything negative about Boyhood, which is something I experienced last week on the podcast.
I mean, yeah.
Jeff, I was I was talking to a friend of mine who's a very talented film person, and they were saying I listened to your Boyhood review, and man, you could just not get in a word in edgewise before you were shouted down by your co-host.
We're all holding David Chen back,
which is amazing. No, it is remarkable because someone on the /Filmcast Facebook page actually commented, I really would have appreciated this episode being without David Chen and just Devindra and Jeff.
We tried.
Yeah, we totally tried.
I think there is something fundamental, like you like people like hearing their own opinions validated in some way. I'm glad we had a diversity of opinion, but it is remarkable to me how like any dissent on this film is met with verbal violence and browbeating. I have observed that.
So Dave, let's have a sit down here, right? Because every year this happens, and there's a movie that everybody seems to love, and then maybe one of us just doesn't like it for some reason. And I've come to acknowledge that, like sometimes there's a movie that everybody loves for some reason. I'm just not down with it. But I don't think this is endemic of anything. I think this is just more like, hey, sometimes tastes differ, and sometimes you were in the losing side. But I don't think this is endemic. I don't think like every time this happens, like, oh my god, the critical, capacity to judge this film is broken or anything. I don't think
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I mean, I think it's tempting for me to think that. But I agree that is
into a corner. Yeah,
I agree that is probably too hasty of a conclusion to draw.
Well, Dave, I read this Kenneth Turan article, and I had sympathy until I started reading some of the other movies that he has been the dissenting opinion on, and I got to the end of the article and went, oh, he's just a terrible film critic whose opinion I never relate to.
That's exactly the thing. Thank you for proving his point, Jeffrey.
Well, it's just, people have different opinions about things, and you have to find, and his opinion is no less valid. It's just an opinion I understand now, I rarely share. Because he didn't like Pulp Fiction, he didn't like Fight Club, he didn't like, what was the other one the big one that people wrote him and said, hey, have you changed your opinion on this now? And he's like, no, I have not.
Titanic, I think you're referring to?
Titanic. There was another one, though, I feel like. But anyway, some of my favorite movies ever, Pulp Fiction, Fight Club.
And Titanic,
so, you have to find the critics with whom your tastes align so you can feel like you can trust them going into a movie. And I've learned that his are not opinions I share.
Yeah. And therefore, we can dismiss his opinion completely.
I do want to say dissenting opinions are important, and it's good to have in there. Although, Dave, I did re-listen to that review, and, I feel like we need to have a longer Boyhood chat at some point.
Perhaps. What do you mean by that, Devindra? Do you mean
and by chat, he means you don't get to talk.
No, I actually want to hear you talk more, Dave. That's all. Because it seems, I do remember you said several times you actually liked the movie. So I don't know how we're in this situation where it feels
he hated it.
It is a weird, is a weird thing. I will admit that when let's say you watch a movie, and actually I think we're going to see this principle in action in about 45 minutes. But when you watch a movie and everyone's like, oh my God, OMG, this is the best thing ever, and people aren't pointing out what appear to me to be rather obvious flaws in the storytelling, it makes me want to accentuate that more, just because I don't feel like that is out there in the world, and it should be if we're trying to have a critical evaluation of something. So
sure.
Well, also I would say that one of the most difficult opinions to convey in any discussion is the "I liked it, but." It's the sure. I'm on, if we're drawing a center line on the spectrum of I'm to the happy side. I enjoyed my experience, but I'm not as ebullient as the rest of you. So that's a very difficult position to convey. If a lot of people are really enthusiastic and you kind of want to draw a little distinction, you get thrown into into two extremes. There's only two buckets you can sit into. Yes. I loved it or I hated it. And to try to convey, well, I liked it, but I didn't love it, that's a hard thing.
Yeah, it's also tough, and I want to point this out to the listeners, to be the only one on a show like ours, to have the different opinion, which, that happens to all of us, I think, once in a while. And it's easy to feel like, oh my God, everybody's against you, and you've got to fight for your opinion. So I thought we went down that review pretty well. So.
Yeah, I thought overall it was a fair review, despite how frequently I was shouted down. No, I'm just joking. I think it was totally reasonable. I feel like I got across most of my criticism. So
I would have liked to hear more reasons why you liked the movie. That's my main takeaway from that review.
Fair enough. But yeah, we got a lot of emails about this. David wrote in saying, yes, this movie is an impressive feat, the same way that running a marathon is impressive, but this isn't an athletic accomplishment. It's art. It should be judged on its ability to express themes and beauty, not its ability to sustain a production. Which I don't think we necessarily did judge it on.
No.
I was talking with a colleague of mine, Matt Singer, who made the very good point that, okay, sure, there were some problems with it. There were some issues with it. I will say, just off the top of my head, a lot of stuff involving Patricia Arquette and her increasingly poor decisions. But the thing is, despite any of the issues, this is a movie that is a massive accomplishment that will probably be talked about forever whenever we talk about film. And in light of that, a lot of these, minor niggles are just harder to sort of take seriously or put in a place of importance. So I did think that was also a good point. Anyway, we appreciate all the emails, appreciate the dialogue here on the /Filmcast. You can always let us know what your thoughts are at /Filmcast@gmail.com.
Send us your minor niggles about the show.
Please. So, all right, now that we've gotten through the pre-show, let's get to the main event, Jeffrey. What have you been watching this week?
I will once again apologize for my voice. I hope it's not just too distracting for people.
It's slightly more grating than usual, yes.
Yeah, I had a very big weekend. But I have seen a couple of movies, one of which is new and one of which is old. I saw Lucy, which is doing very well at the box office. Very well at the box office. And people seem to be going to in droves. I really, really liked the first about 20 minutes of this movie. The setup was, I thought, so smart and interesting and had me on the edge of my seat, drew me into what was about to happen. But as soon as we got past that, it just had this slow descent into a really dumb movie, which is unfortunate because the setup is really clever. How we get Scarlett Johansson's character into this perilous situation, how perilous it feels. It was really a taut thriller at the beginning. And Luc Besson does some really interesting things, cutting to like wildlife footage as a way to sort of comment on what's happening in the narrative. You know, we see Scarlett Johansson walking into what is clearly a dangerous situation, and then we cut to, you know, a mouse walking toward a mouse trap, or a cheetah stalking a gazelle on the plains. And it sounds cheesy, but it kind of worked for me. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was clever, and I thought, oh my gosh, is he gonna be able to manage to maintain this through the entire movie? Because it's a really bold idea, and he abandons it pretty fast. But I thought it was kind of cool, and I just loved her getting into danger in such we were in this very long, extended scene of her deciding to kind of engage with these gangsters, and how it plays out, and how she gets sucked into that danger, and how dangerous it feels. I thought was so well done. And then the movie just descends into sort of a moronic exploration of the human brain, I guess, but it just doesn't make much sense. She just ascends to godhood, and once you have a main character who is a god, you don't have any stakes. We're still stuck in this weird Luc Besson action movie for no reason. At this point, she's transcended normal action confines. She's no longer in danger from the gangsters, and yet we're still fighting them. She could snap her fingers and they would be obliterated. So what's the point in worrying about them? What's the point in even dramatizing that side of the story? Let's just investigate what it must be like to be a god. And it's very pseudoscience. It's very kind of silly fantasy, and it descends into really a nothing movie, which is a shame because it had so much promise at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I heard this movie was incredibly dumb. I saw Stephen Lloyd Wilson's review at pajiba.com, which I'll link to in the show notes, and he says, quote, the film uses this. So the idea of the film is that what if the average human only uses 10% of their brain? What if we used 100%? Like, imagine what we're capable of. Firstly, that is so wrong. I mean,
right, but there's been a lot of movies that have been based on stupid premises that aren't based in any kind of reality before, and I really wouldn't have, as much as that annoys me, I wouldn't have cared if it had actually made that premise fun.
Yeah,
I guess it annoys me because it is actively propagating something that we know to be false, and that seriously could have like damaging effects on how people understand the brain in the world.
I think most people don't think about this at all. So,
well, that's my point.
Not as bad as any. That is not even as close as bad as any '80s movie that told me all I have to do is be the best friend to the girl, and she'll eventually realize I'm in love with her. Like that's
okay.
A lie that's propagated by way more movies. So
that just got serious. Just got real, Jeff.
I'm just saying there's a lot of stupid crap that movies hang their hats on that ultimately don't matter if the ride is good enough. And this ride just petered out and didn't turn into anything. And I'm on the same page with you that that's a dumb, illogical, unscientific premise, but it could have been fun if it was fun.
That's a fair point. Just to read the rest of this quote here. The film has an opening monologue of Morgan Freeman saying things like, dolphins use 20% of their brains, and that's why they have sonar. Not because they have a fucking organ that shoots sound waves out of their skull. It pretends like it's quoting actual science when it says that other animals use at most 3% of their brain. And I start to question whether they know what percent even means, as in a portion of what is already there. We don't magically start shooting sonar out of our fucking heads just because we take a drug that lets us think harder. End quote.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to hear that it was dumb because it seemed like it did have a lot of promise. I mean, it could have been like an action version of Limitless from what
Sure.
And like in a good way. I mean,
I've actually heard from people who have enjoyed the ride, though, even though it is so dumb. So I am actually still looking forward to seeing this at a matinee at some point. Sorry.
maybe on.
I'll be shocked if you like it, Devindra, but knock yourself out.
Maybe on
We'll
video
see.
on demand. I'll check it out. All right, Jeff Canado, what else have you been watching?
I also finally got around to watching one of the movies that I believe was on both of your top 10 lists last year. I had somehow missed seeing it and finally got to watch it on Netflix this week, and that is Short Term 12. And boy, did it ever live up to the praise that you guys heaped upon it. It's a wonderful movie. People aren't familiar with it. It's about a sort of a halfway house for troubled teens and the people who work there and the teens that come in and out of there, and just a very small, earnest film about their day-to-day lives and how the kids are troubled, but the adults have just as much trouble in their lives, and how the sort of intersection of those points can inform both the older people and the younger people. And it's just a sweet, well-acted, beautiful movie that I really enjoyed. It's very powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's Destin Cretton's like second feature-length film. It's pretty incredible what he's been able to accomplish. He's definitely one of the rising stars in the indie film world. But that movie can be found on
I saw it on Netflix.
Netflix,
Yeah.
and you should check it out. Short Term 12 is the movie. Highly recommended by everyone on the Filmcast. All right, Devindra Hardawar, you've watched a bunch of stuff. Let's
Yes.
hit me.
All right, I'm just going to go down the list here. I saw a bunch of TV and a couple movies, starting, I guess, from best to worst on the TV side. I checked out Manhattan, the first episode of this new show on WGN. WGN, guys, do you know that network? It's that network on your cable box that you occasionally may see movies on, but you have no clue what it's actually there for. Manhattan, I think it may be their first original series, or at least one of their first. And this tells the story of of the scientists racing to build the atomic bomb in Los Alamos. And it's really interesting. I'm actually really digging this. Has a great cast. John Benjamin Hickey, not a character actor, but an actor who's been on things like Law and Order and The Good Wife. He actually plays like the Google head in The Good Wife, so that's fun. And Olivia Williams. And it's just so well written. It looks amazing. I think Thomas Schlamme directed the pilot, and I'm sure he's involved like with other stuff throughout the show. So it looks like it has a decent amount of pedigree. Has some great characters. I just find the show really compelling because that story is interesting. You know, the people who were there building the atomic bomb, not sure what they were doing, kind of weighing the consequences of building this thing that would kill countless lives, but also measuring, doing that versus having a war continue that could lose millions more lives. How do you make that judgment call? I'm really digging the show. It's created by Sam Shaw, who's a writer from Masters of Sex. So he knows what he's doing as well. Looking forward to checking this out. And I think the first 2 episodes are free on iTunes now, and a couple other VOD things. So you can get a taste of it before you jump in.
All right, so that's Manhattan. It's on WGN.
Yes.
It's very Mad Men-y, right?
It is very Mad Men-y. Mad Men meets the atomic bomb, which is really interesting. Yeah. And I also saw Extent, which is a show I only heard about last week, but it's actually really interesting. This is a show on CBS. It's a sci-fi show starring Halle Berry as an astronaut who comes back from space after I think it's a year-long solo mission. She comes back from space on her own, and she finds out she's pregnant. Really interesting show. It's one of the few things I've really liked Halle Berry in. I'm not a big fan of her movie work, unfortunately, especially X-Men stuff. But there's
Come on,
a lot
Devindra.
of
Catwoman, Swordfish. Come on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot about.
She's
that.
an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
She is an Oscar winner. Yes, I know. But this show has a lot going for it, and I'm surprised I'm not seeing many people talk about it.
Isn't this a Spielberg production too?
It may be. It definitely, yeah. Presented by Steven Spielberg, according
Yeah.
to IMDb. So, yes. And it's really interesting, too, because it's set, in the future. So there are so many sci-fi elements. Like, people have self-driving cars or interesting computer interfaces. Halle Berry and her husband, played by Goran Vishniak, who, he's an actor I really like as well. He's been in all sorts of things. They also, they haven't been able to have a child, but they do have a AI robotic child, sort of like the kid from AI, basically. So she's trying to manage that there's all this interesting stuff going on, like the basic mystery of like how the heck she got pregnant. In the first
I'm gonna
episode,
guess sex.
I don't. Well, it's a solo mission, Jeff. Explain that.
What?
What? Mind blown.
And I can say a bit because I think in the trailer for the show, there are like hints of Solaris in this. Like she has visions of her former lover while she's on the space station, but then it turns out like other people have had similar visions on the solo missions. So there's hints of Solaris, there's hints of AI, there's all sorts of great sci-fi going on here. You've got Hiroyuki Sanada as the head of a big corporation here. By the way, interesting that we have Hiroyuki Sanada and here and who we have somebody else on Helix as well, another great Japanese actor. Great to see these Japanese actors in positions of power. I don't know, with their own schemes. I don't know if that's a new sci-fi trope or something we're seeing now, but I like the show. It looks good. I don't think anybody's going to watch it because it's on CBS, and I think that was the problems The Good Wife had as well. But if you have Amazon Prime, they're showing all the episodes after they air, so you can just
they
watch
have a
right
great
there.
deal there, and so that's
Yes.
Extant. It's on CBS, and to be
Worth
fair,
watching.
Devindra, CBS has some of the most popular shows on TV. Just not
Yes.
necessarily the people whose circles we run in. They probably won't be watching it because
Is
CBS.
it CSI extant?
CBS typically caters to an older demographic, let's say. So,
Gotcha.
but it sounds like the show is great. So check it out, CBS. It's
and by the way,
excellent.
so I do want to make this clear. Hiroyuki Sanada is on Helix as well. So he is playing the same role in both. And I've only seen a couple episodes of Helix, so I kind of forgot that it was actually him. But he is playing some interesting stuff in American TV now. That's interesting, yeah.
What else have you been watching, Devindra?
I saw The Strain, the new show co-created by Guillermo del Toro based on his vampire book series. And this show is not very good, sadly.
That's too bad.
It's like a B-level sci-fi show, about this potential vampire epidemic. There's some cool gore. It looks kind of interesting because Del Toro did direct, I think, the first couple episodes. But it feels kind of cheap. It's not that interesting. Corey Stoll is the lead, and he's at least, he brings a good dynamism to the role. Like, he's interesting, although they gave him this hair piece, which is kind of distracting if you're used to seeing this guy as being the bald dude in House of Cards. So that's a little weird, but I don't know if I'm going to be sticking with the show. It just feels cheap. I wish it was better written. I wish it had better production values, but yeah, it's a damn shame. It feels like we've seen all this stuff before, including other shows like The X-Files and Fringe and everything.
That's The Strain on FX. What else have you been watching, Devindra?
I also saw They Came Together, the new David Wayne comedy film starring Paul Rudd and Amy
I wanna see
Poehler.
that. Yeah.
This movie, it's so if you like Wet Hot American Summer, I think there's a good chance you'll like this. Just that weird vibe and style of comedy. You have to prepare yourself for this movie. It's a movie where Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler basically detail how they met, and it's sort of like I think a satire of rom-coms, or just a play on all the rom-com tropes we're used to. The problem is I don't think they've actually, David Wayne and his co-writer Michael Showalter, I'm not sure if they've seen rom-coms since like the 90s, because it feels like they're making fun of the really old rom-com tropes and maybe not some of the newer stuff, which
Like Love Actually or Valentine's Day, or that kind of stuff. Right?
Well, yeah, those things are maybe a little more well-written or a little more self-aware. So it feels like it's making fun of like a classical style of rom-com, which I guess it can be funny, but it can also feel tired, and it can also feel like they're trying too hard. But I thought it was really funny. It's on VOD right now, so if you liked Wet Hot American Summer, just give it a shot.
That's They Came Together, available
Yes.
on video on demand. And what
I
else?
might watch
Devin?
that tonight, actually.
Yeah,
I might.
it's definitely worth watching.
I
especially
heard
if
it.
you
Yeah,
like
I mean, I
rom-com.
heard it's a bit like shooting fish in a barrel because,
Yes.
as you mentioned, Devindra, those tropes have been around for a very long time. But I have heard from people who have really enjoyed it as well. So,
There's fun stuff.
what else,
And-
Devindra? I think you have one more.
I finally got to see Enemy, the Denis Villeneuve film, and I feel like we have to have a longer discussion
Yep,
about this
we do.
because I did not care for it that much, Dave. And I'm sorry, and I know you loved it. And
I
I
really
know so
liked
many
it, yeah.
people loved it. I feel like this is a movie where Jake Gyllenhaal, he plays like a nebbish professor who finds that there's this other dude, kind of a B grade actor who looks exactly like him, and he tries to figure out like what the heck is going on. I think there's some really interesting stuff going on here. Stylistically, it's really interesting and just kind of creepy. It feels almost like a spiritual successor to Donnie Darko in a way. But you know what? The entire time I was reading this, I just felt like I wanted to see Donnie Darko again. And the entire second half of this movie, I had no clue why the hell anybody was doing what they were doing. Motivations in this movie just kind of fly out the window to just, I guess, ramp up the drama. And I just, it
Reminds me
didn't
of Guardians of the Galaxy, but yes, continue.
Oh my god, that's going to be a fight. But the thing is, like Guardian of the Galaxy, at least gives you
Spoilers.
a lot more to kind of latch onto.
Yeah,
this movie
true.
kind of doesn't. This entire story is between Jake Gyllenhaal and Jake Gyllenhaal Prime. And if you do not care about that, then why the hell are you watching this movie? So yeah,
Right.
I may have to give it another look. I do think it'd be great to talk about this further.
Isn't
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal Prime Maggie Gyllenhaal?
It could be. Yes.
Nicely done, Jeff.
She's the better actress, right?
Right.
That's Enemy. It is available now on Prime Instant. I think it's also Netflix. I'm not sure, but it's
I
definitely.
don't think it's on Netflix yet.
All
I
right,
paid
well,
for it, so
it's
no.
on Prime Instant. So
Yes.
you got screwed over, Devindra. But check it out. I really enjoyed it. It's certainly worth watching, in my opinion. So that's Enemy. So I think that's going to bring us to the end of what we've been watching this week. Now, before we get to film news, Jeff, I got to ask you a question.
Ask me.
How do you keep that rugged visage of yours looking so amazing?
That
on a
stone
day-to-day basis?
chin.
Yeah,
I shave, man. I gotta keep shaved.
yeah, and I guess this is a problem I'll never have because I shave maybe once every 3 months.
Yeah.
Asians just don't grow facial hair very fast. That's all I'm saying.
Now it sounds like you're bragging because
how-
I hate that.
How often do you have to shave, Jeff?
Well, I like the rugged look, but I gotta shave every couple of days at least.
At least,
Yeah.
or else you'll look like a homeless person. Right?
Yeah, which I do right now at this very moment.
Now, shaving for a lot of people is a huge pain in the ass.
I would say pain in the neck, yes, but yes.
It's a pain in the face.
I don't know what you're shaving personally, but
It's a pain in the face. Because, firstly, you gotta for me, you gotta monitor when your blades get kind of bad, and it's it's kind of
buying blades is such a pain in the butt.
yeah, and it's it's kind of expiration date on milk. It's should I throw this away? Should I not? I don't even know.
Yeah.
And the blades are really expensive all the
And then
time.
you gotta go. There's a guy who has to unlock the cabinet at the
That's
drugstore.
the worst, yeah.
You gotta get the guy. You gotta flag him down. Say, "Hey, guy, I need to buy some of these." He's like, "You want the condoms?" And you're like, "No. I want the blades." Okay, I'll get to the condoms. No. This other thing. Unlock the other thing so I can get. I just want to shave my face. You pervert. No, I just want to shave my face.
I'm kind of curious what kind of accent that is, but I don't even know if I want to know.
That's
So why not? So actually, interesting story. Next time we'll have to talk about this. But why they actually why they lock up the soap and the shaving cream and all that stuff, and they don't lock up much more high ticket items. There's actually a very good reason for that. But we'll get to that in another episode. In the meantime, we got to say there's actually a solution for all of these difficulties.
including my racism.
That is Harry's.com.
We'll shave it away.
What's really fascinating is that person was actually white, and Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Jeff
My head.
he just has a really bad way of imitating people.
It's an Eastern European accent, right?
Harry's.com at HARRYS.com, which delivers razors and blades and shaving cream and all the stuff you need right to your door. Harry's.com is disrupting the shaving industry in a big way. They're less than they're very young in the industry, and they make amazing German-engineered blades, which they care so much about the quality of that they purchased the 93-year-old German factory that makes them. Also, the co-founder of the company also co-founded eyewear brand Warby Parker, which is why Harry's.com, they just have a really awesome sort of minimalist style on their website, and that carries over to their products as well. So Harry's.com, use promo code FILMCAST at Harry's.com off your first purchase. You'll get $5 off. We hope you'll check them out. Harry's.com, that's HARRYS.com, so you can stop Jeff from having to go out into the world
Wouldn't want that.
and inflicting his horrible shave on people. Instead, just get that stuff delivered to your doorstep. It is rather remarkable, Devindra. I mean, you cover the tech industry. It is rather remarkable how people haven't thought of getting shaving stuff delivered to your doorstep in the past in a big way that's scalable.
Yeah, I think, well, the difference, too, between Harry's and Warby and there are other things that do this, but I think Harry's is trying to give people this artisanal shaving style, which is tough to do. It's not just for the experts, this brings it down to everybody.
Harry's
You realize when you first get it, as I have Harry's in my home right now. You realize when you get it how cool it is. How cool we as tech fans get that when you open a new phone and it's all cool. There's a cool like Apple packaging aesthetic. They get that at Harry's. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Harry's.com, use promo code Filmcast for $5 off your initial order. So thank you to Harry's for sponsoring us. Let's move on, guys, to the rest of the show this week. A bunch of news happened in the last week or so.
Well, it's been like 2 weeks since we recorded.
It's been like 10 days since we recorded.
I do feel like all this news broke in the last like 15 minutes.
Firstly, Studio Ghibli has not yet closed, contrary to a lot of opinion. I mean, I think people were freaking out. I think it was Sunday morning, right, Devindra?
Yes, yeah.
They were like, oh my gosh, Studio Ghibli, after decades, has closed. They haven't closed yet. But they are thinking of revising their schedule to make fewer films, to maybe reduce staff. And I think, Devindra, you're probably the one with the closest attachment to Studio Ghibli films on the podcast. I mean, what were your thoughts when you saw this news?
Oh, I was very sad. I was depressed for a while yesterday, and I was actually very happy when I saw that the news wasn't so final. So the initial news was like, yeah, Ghibli is shutting down. It's all over, and oh my god, my childhood dreams are dead and gone. It still seems like Ghibli is in trouble, especially since the Miyazaki seems to have finally officially retired,
right,
with The Wind Rises. So
they're taking a short break, according to the public statement, is what they've said.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Miyazaki retiring, I mean, that is a huge blow. So.
It's a huge blow, and they have some decent directors on their staff, including Goro Miyazaki, his son, Miyazaki's son. But his films have been okay. I've seen them, and they're fine, but they don't reach that level of magic. And it seems like Ghibli will be in trouble because I think the basic situation is that they were kind of surviving from film to film. And that's difficult, and that's not sustainable, unfortunately. So it's tough. It's not dead yet, but they're like the knight in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. A couple arms are bleeding right now, so it's not going to be around for much longer.
Wound. It's just
a flesh wound for now.
All right. We also learned details about a female version of Ghostbusters that Paul Feig, I want to say. I keep mispronouncing his name, but according to reports, Bridesmaid Helmer, Paul Feig, is the new frontrunner for the job of Ghostbusters 3, and he may be even interested. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter. But yeah, this theoretically, there's going to be a version of this film that has an all-female team of Ghostbusters. Female characters played by comedic actresses. It's going to be a complete reboot of the franchise. I mean, with this new director theoretically interested in, I mean, I guess I'm pretty sure his name has been bandied about in the past anyway. Does this kind of rekindle your interest in this franchise, Devindra? Jeff, any thoughts?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts. As long as they don't call it the Ghostbustettes, Here's the thing. How many times have we heard the plan for the next Ghostbusters movie? So you take this with a grain of salt. It's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. Supposedly it was a done deal when Seth Rogen and those guys were doing it, and supposedly it was a done deal when these guys were doing it, and supposedly it was a done deal when the original cast was back. It is far from being a done deal. I think it's a little loopy that people are going so crazy about it being an all-female cast. Here's the thing about Ghostbusters. People are like, they're ruining the franchise because they're taking it into... The movie was made again with the exact same cast, and it sucked. Right? They couldn't capture the magic in a bottle for even the exact same cast.
So you're coming out against Ghostbusters 2 right now is what's happening, yes?
Do you guys like Ghostbusters 2?
I like Ghostbusters 2.
I like the rap.
I understand it's not as good as Ghostbusters 1, but I grew up with both, so I still like it.
I think Ghostbusters 1, it might be my favorite comedy of all time, and so Ghostbusters 2 is a far cry from that.
Sure.
I think it'd be actually really interesting to do it for them to do a Ghostbusters television series with the way television is right now. I think that'd be really cool. I can see an awesome version of Ghostbusters with females where Sigourney Weaver is like the matriarch. I think that'd be kind of rad. And she like all the dudes are gone and she's the only one that can carry on the torch. That'd be kind of cool. I think this could work. I am not against the idea of it just being females because they're females. I just don't think a new Ghostbusters movie needs to happen at all with any gender.
Well, point taken, Jeff. I think that is a really good summary of certainly my opinion on this. I actually read a satirical take on that opinion in The Onion about this. And let me read from it here. Quote, I had it in my mind that we'd see some combination of Jonah Hill, Kevin Hart, Channing Tatum, James Franco, Zach Galifianakis, Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis carrying on the spirit of the Ghostbusting tale. I know some of those guys spit the bit in The Watch, a movie that also dealt with otherworldly forces and sucked. And there is a potential fiscal upside. We are seeing recognition that women will come to the movies if there is something in it for them, as evidenced by the Twilight Saga, the Hunger Games, etc., etc. Plus, Marvel Comics just gave Thor a gender do-over and made the hammer wielder a woman. But does that give them the right to take Ghostbusters from knuckle-dragging Neanderthals like me, who have little else going for us but our all-time top 10 or 20 favorite Guy movies, and the prospect of a revamp that feels like the original Guy version of one of the films on that list? What's next? A Goodfellas redo with female mobsters pulling off the Lufthansa heist, a Raging Bull redo with Ronda Rousey, Brian's song set in the WNBA, Animal House at a sorority. Sony has been looking for the right director since Ivan Reitman told Deadline, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait, guys, this isn't The Onion. This is actually Deadline Hollywood, a site that sold for $14 million a while back and is considered legitimate journalism.
I see what you did there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was a mistake. I accidentally...
You're saying that the irony that I was infusing into your words was meant unironically?
Correct, Jeff. That's exactly that you were infusing into my words. What did you?
I was assuming we're going along with your words.
Yeah, that was actually a serious take on this issue called "Film Chauvinist Asks: Do We Want an Estrogen-Powered Ghostbusters?" Written by Mike Fleming Jr. That I thought was pretty ridiculous.
Well, I do want to say, for as serious as it is, it is called Film Chauvinist Ask. So I think it's slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I think he was also just way off the mark in terms of how he did that. And we also don't expect that from Mike Fleming. Yeah.
Yes. Who clearly has a remarkable comedic ear. But yeah,
this is the problem when everybody tries to be The Onion, right? If you're not writing for The Onion, don't try to write it like The Onion. Probably.
Perhaps. I have thought of trying to write something, not for this specific issue, but, and it's just so hard to get satire correct.
Yeah.
So, if you don't think you can get it correct, don't try. Anyway, we'll see if that winds up being anything good, but Jeff, I think you bring up some very good points. Any other thoughts, Devindra?
I mean, one thing I do want to mention, did you guys talk about Paul Feig much being the one they're tapping for this? And I think that's the bigger worry here is that I like Paul Feig. I love Bridesmaids. I thought The Heat was better than a lot of people gave it credit for. But my big problem with Paul Feig is that, this is a guy that comes from a TV background. He is a writer first. His movies don't look that good. And I think it's just a stylistic thing. Like, I love Bridesmaids, but it looks like a cheap comedy. And The Heat just feels like a TV movie almost. So I'm hoping that whoever gets to do Ghostbusters would at least, be able to demonstrate, do something interesting with that style. Ivan Reitman, not the best visual stylist in the world. People responded to me when I said this on Twitter, yesterday. But
who can forget the visual stylings of Meatballs?
Well, honestly, I really like Meatballs. But you know what? At least his movies look like movies. They don't look like they're shot for TV or staged for TV, and that's my biggest worry. I actually think, like, in among the Apatow, clan of directors, I think Adam McKay is the best in terms of making something look good and interesting. Go look at Talladega Nights. Just the action in that movie looks interesting. But I guess we'll see. This is probably yet another Ghostbusters reboot, revamp, something that's going to fall apart.
Finally, just wanted to mention that according to Sony, Spider-Man franchise will see a female-driven spin-off in 2017. There's no word on which character it will be, though Spider-Woman and Black Cat are obvious options. I think this is just amusing because when Marvel announced at Comic-Con this year, they actually announced like 5 opening dates for their movies going up through like 2019 or something, like in the next few years. They're like, okay, in 2017, we're going to have a movie open on this date. And in 2018, we're going to have a movie open on this date. They're not going to tell you what the movies are yet. They're not going to reveal that information.
Sure.
But it's
we
just kind
call
of like,
dibs. We call dibs.
they call dibs, and it's like, hey, guess what, guys? If you want to release a movie on that date, you're welcome to. Just know that there's going to be a freaking Marvel movie on that date, right?
So,
and it's just that is
good luck.
that is
Good luck with
how that is the confidence they have. They don't even need to say what it is. Just the very name Marvel is going to scare them off. Meanwhile, Spider-Man 3 has apparently been delayed until 2017. Although who knows if that's even going to happen at this point. And they're saying, oh, this is Sony's attempt to do the same thing. Hey, guys, we're going to do a female-driven Spider-Man film in 2017. And I think
The funniest thing about this is that they've lost confidence with Spider-Man, but they're still confident with the like B-level Spider-Man periphery characters.
Right. I think the overwhelming response to this is, who gives a crap? And it's not because it's a female-driven story. It's because Sony has basically screwed the pooch with the Spider-Man franchise.
Hey guys, I'm totally excited for untitled female Spider-Man related projects. I'm totally excited for this.
You're right. I think that
They know how to get me going, guys.
I like the fact that they're literally going forward with a Sinister Six movie and going, we don't know what Spider-Man's going to be doing, but all his villains are definitely in a movie. That we know we can
They're
sell.
definitely hanging out. You know what? I think this news came after Marvel got into a lot of flack for basically having kind of no plans for any female-driven movie. So I wonder if this seemed almost like a response to Marvel's like inability. Like maybe Sony was like, oh man, we got an opening. We could do something here that Marvel's not doing. Untitled Spider-Man project with a lady.
Angie Han wrote up a pretty great piece at slashfilm.com this week where she basically, lets Marvel have it in regards to producing.
Kevin Feige have it too.
Yeah. In regards to like who keeps making excuses. Oh, we'll make a female-driven superhero film when we get around to it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So that piece is worth reading in its entirety.
Yeah. It's not like, guys, they have a popular character with a big-name actress who just opened a movie that's doing really well right now about ass-kicking. It's not like Marvel is sitting on Black Widow or anything.
Well, I honestly feel like this Sony announcement has more to do with Lucy opening huge than anything else.
Yeah,
it's not,
probably.
Them going, wait, how much more did it make than our movie? All right, let's get on that.
It is interesting that this has come this summer where we've had a couple of phenomenons, right? Firstly, you have Lucy opening and just completely trouncing the competition, including Hercules starring The Rock, who's regarded as a bankable star. And, Lucy also defeated a lot of other sci-fi movies, as I pointed out last week. Johnny Depp's Transcendence, Matt Damon's Elysium, Tom Cruise's Edge of Tomorrow. Like, let that sink in for a second, right? That this female-driven, quote-unquote, superhero film was able to destroy those movies. Okay, so you got that going on. You also got the fact that Marvel has, for the first time, released this movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, with no recognizable characters from any of their franchise, like Captain America, Spider-Man, nothing.
But a fun marketing campaign.
Yeah. And that takes place, I'm going to say, primarily not on Earth. I don't think that's a spoiler to say that it primarily doesn't take place on Earth. And it's really out there in terms of some of the characters and ideas it's dealing with, and it has been massively successful. So I think you see, okay, they're able to market something that's, not conventional, that's not a recognizable character, and also we know that female action stars are bankable. So it's with the confluence of these events, it's kind of well, Marvel, you're really just, there's no excuse anymore for you not to make a movie with a female at the center, other than that you don't feel like it or you're lazy or what have you.
Yeah.
So anyway, on that note, shall we move on, guys? Any other thoughts before we get to our review of Guardians of the Galaxy?
I'm good.
Let's move on. We got to thank the people who donated to the Slash Filmcast this week. Thanks to Benjamin V. from Germany, Marco Wilson from Germany, a lot of German donors this week, Ruben from Middle Island, New York, Rumesha from San Francisco, California, Nicholas, whose friend is doing a Kickstarter called Movie Buff. Thanks also to our new subscribers at the rate of $2 per month, Chen Rong and Zachary Tyroller. You can always donate to the /Filmcast, support what we do by going to /film.com, using the /Filmcast link at the top of the page, and using the PayPal links on the left-hand sidebar. All the money you donate to us does go into defraying the costs of seeing movies and putting on the show, so we really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who donated this week. Let's move on to our review of Guardians of the Galaxy.
We arrested these 5 on Xandar. Check out the rap sheets.
Drax, a.k.a. the Destroyer. Since his wife and family were killed, he's been on a rampage across the galaxy in his search for vengeance. Gamora, soldier, assassin, wanted on over a dozen counts of murder. Rocket, wanted on over 50 charges of vehicular theft and escape from lockup.
What the hell?
Groot has been traveling recently as Rocket's personal houseplant / muscle.
Peter Jason Quill. He's also known as Star-Lord.
Who calls him that?
Himself, mostly. He's wanted largely on charges of minor assault, public intoxication, and fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
That was from the trailer of Guardians of the Galaxy, the newest film by director James Gunn. And it stars Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Lee Pace, and Michael Rooker. This movie, as I pointed out, not only sort of shattered some assumptions about Marvel, I guess it didn't shatter, it actually reinforced assumptions about Marvel, saying that Marvel is the brand that is what is being opened these days. It's kind of like Pixar was, right? Like, it doesn't matter who's in it, doesn't matter what the plot is. If it's a Marvel movie, it's going to bring audiences to theaters. This movie has already made $160 million worldwide, and it has reconfigured assumptions about what movies can open in August, right? And when movies can open. I mean, typically, guys, we know this. We've been reviewing movies for the last 7 or 8 years. Typically, movies in August are the worst, right? Like, they typically save all the good stuff for May, June, and July, sometimes April as well. But August is typically the dump month where you get all the leftovers of
August and January, typically slim pickings.
Yeah. So they opened this movie August 3rd of 2014, and it opened to huge amount of money, $94 million domestic. It does challenge people's assumptions of like, hey, maybe we can open movies in August now.
Isn't it? It's the biggest August opening ever,
Yeah,
right?
that's my understanding.
It's insane. Yeah, August 1st, actually.
Yeah.
My birthday.
Nice.
You're right. Sorry, August 1st. That's right. That was the release date. So, and happy belated birthday, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
So, anyway, that is what is going on with the backstory here. Now, Devindra, I know you're a big James Gunn fan. This movie's budget is $170 million.
Jeez.
And from my perspective, right, James Gunn has made some movies. He's made Slither. He's made Super.
Yep.
He did a segment of Movie 43. In my opinion, nothing really in that filmography made me think he could handle a tentpole. Now, that being said, like, I believed in James Gunn. Like, there is no doubt in my mind he would deliver from a box office perspective. But it is remarkable to me that Marvel took a chance on this guy.
Yeah.
And I think it is a chance that has really paid off. I mean, I think this movie
That's what they do at Marvel, though. They find the guys that they can pay a very small amount that have a lot of potential.
Right.
I think they've really been very good at that.
Definitely. I mean, if you look at Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I mean, that movie was not directed by people who were really well-known action stars, action directors, I should say. So let's start with you, Devindra Hardwar. What did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy?
Sure. I love this movie to its core. Just completely, thoroughly, everything about it. I saw it at a press screening last Tuesday, I think, and then I just saw it right again with the general audience on Friday. Like, I did that for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes as well, another movie that I love this year, and I don't do that very often, but I love that I was able to do that twice this summer. It's thrilling. The characters are great. Great actors and great choices all around for these characters too. Chris Pratt, who would have thought the schlubby, guy from Parks and Rec would grow into being like a legit, action star? and
a
kind of-
hunk. Let's be
and a hunky
let's
one.
Be clear. I mean, because
that
when
shower
he,
scene, guys.
when he first started off in Parks and Recreation, I mean, there's like you can see like if you search on the internet for before
Yes.
and after Chris Pratt photos, and I have, you'll see.
to really compare.
You'll see like he used to be pretty slubby, right?
Yeah.
Did you end up getting before and after ChrisPratt.com? Or
I can't.
because I know you were talking about it a lot.
I can't. Why are you airing my dirty laundry here on the show, Jeff?
We know those pictures are just hanging on Dave's wall. Like that's what keeps him going. But Chris Pratt doing an amazing job, like leading this film and being an action hero, and some surprisingly effective casting too, especially Bradley Cooper as Rocket, which Rocket is a fast talking kind of a snarky animated raccoon. Bradley Cooper injects so much life and comedy into this character. I love that this movie basically gives us the Bradley Cooper back from the Wet Hot American Summer days and back from the Alias days when he would just do weird shit before he was like Bradley Cooper movie star. Kind of love that we're back there. Lee Pace is the villain, which is kind of thin, but Lee Pace chews the hell out of this villain, Ronan. This movie is fun all around. It reminds me of those big space movies I loved growing up as a kid in the 80s. And honestly, it feels like we've been starved for a movie like this too. So I wonder how much of the audience reaction is just like, guys, when last have we had a nice big space opera that wasn't Star Trek? Star Trek is one thing, but a movie like this is kind of different, I would say. So I loved it entirely. I love that James Gunn can go from doing something like Super and Slither, by the way, which is super effects heavy, it's a low budget film, but there's a lot of heart to it. There's a lot of great character work there. That movie gave me hope that he could do something good here with Guardians. And even in Super, we saw that he could take a movie that is kind of messed up with some really disturbing subject matter and inject heart into it. He does that again in Guardians. I think the character work is great, has a lot of heart to it. It's a fun movie. It's really funny. It doesn't feel like any space movie I've seen in a long time. So just feels so fresh and interesting and good. The only downside I'd say is I think it's Tyler Bates who did the score. Just felt, I think he's done all of James Gunn's movies at this point, and just feels kind of dull and generic given how fresh everything else is going on in the film. The actual soundtrack of the film is good. All the songs you hear in the trailer are there.
Fantastic
and more.
soundtrack, yeah.
Fantastic soundtrack.
It really,
but
the score really
so
takes a backseat to the soundtrack in this movie,
which is,
for sure. Yeah.
and I think that was just kind of a tough thing. It's just you got to compete with these songs. But I miss the days when we had definable themes in movies.
Well,
and,
I think
especially something for this.
I do think Brian Tyler is doing a good job of bringing it back. I mean, Brian Tyler, he did the score for Thor 2. He also did Iron Man 3, and his is the music that opens every Marvel movie now. Like when you see a Marvel movie, they have a standard song now, and it's Brian Tyler's
Marvel.
stuff. Yeah, that's exactly. It has those lyrics, exactly correct. So anyway,
yes.
The only thing I just wanted to highlight, Devindra, is both Slither and this movie make great use of Michael Rooker, who I feel like is a great character actor who not enough people know about.
James Gunn loves Michael Rooker, and it definitely shows.
He's the man.
He's the man in this movie. Like, this movie has a scene for Michael Rooker to be a badass, which has really very little story importance or anything. It's just Michael Rooker being a badass for 30 seconds, but it's so awesome. It's so good. And it's one of many things I love about this film. Jeff
Canada, lay it on me.
I could not agree more with Devindra. I am 100% in total lockstep with everything he said. Interesting that you framed this discussion, Dave, as a comparison of the Marvel brand to the Pixar brand, because I do believe that, like the Pixar brand, they have built a trust with the audience that is quality. We make good movies. You can trust that when it says Marvel at the front of it, and it's from a Marvel studio about Marvel characters, even if you haven't heard of these characters, it's probably going to be a good movie. And they have yet, other than Iron Man 2, in my opinion, they have yet to make anything that was a stinker. And this movie is fantastic. It is thoroughly entertaining. I described it as the best Star Wars movie since Return of the Jedi. It is that scrappy, fun, edge of your seat ride that Star Wars used to be before it got all dour and loaded down with all kinds of weird, prequel crap. And I think it really kind of throws the gauntlet down for J.J. Abrams to bring it for Episode 7, because this is a legit contender for like every 8-year-old kid's favorite movie. The way that I fell in love with Chewbacca and wanted a Chewbacca of my own, every kid's going to want a Groot. Every kid's going to think about a twig that he picks up when he's on a hike with his parents as his Groot. And that's it works on a magical level like that. There's a brilliant framing device that this movie uses that brings you into the world. I'm a Marvel zombie from way back, and I loved the old Guardians of the Galaxy comic books in the 90s. With the One Who Knows, the Jim Valentino version of the team, which is not this team at all. There was a reboot by Dan Abnett and Lanning. What's his first name? That was just a few years ago, early 2000s, and this is that version of the team, and it picks up wonderful aspects of that reboot, the quirky comedic take on it, but it also infuses a wonderful bridge into that cosmic world of Marvel. It doesn't ask you just to jump in. It brings you in, and it grounds the world in a really human place right at the beginning. And the first time we see Chris Pratt in this movie is one of my favorite scenes in any sci-fi film. It's like it is so joyous and fun, and it sets the whole tone. It's like, oh, I'm going to be hanging out with the best people for the next 2 hours. So hunker down and have a good time. I just love that. And the fact that they managed to take Bautista from the WWE and make him funny is
hilarious.
Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment. As you brought up, Devindra, Rocket Raccoon is a fantastically well-realized character. We've definitely gotten to the point now where CG characters, I don't even think about it anymore. I used to sit there in CG movies and look at the actor's eye lines to see like, oh, he's looking like 2 inches away from where the eyes actually are. And I don't even think about that anymore. These characters are completely seamlessly integrated into that world. And I think my favorite thing about this movie is how it's shot, how much color is in the world, how it embraces vibrancy, and every shot, every time we look out a window from a spaceship, we're not seeing just black space. It's nebulas and brilliant, beautiful colors, and so many of the aliens are colorful, and the world just pops. I saw it in IMAX 3D. I'm really glad I did. I thought the 3D was great. I thought it really worked on that big canvas. This movie, I was laughing a lot. I was having a great time. I really, really enjoyed it. I did not personally. It wasn't as satisfying to me as Captain America: The Winter Soldier this year, but it's right up there as a contender. I just happen to like Captain America a little more, but this is a thoroughly entertaining film, as the numbers are proving. People are digging it.
All right. I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. I mean, I had a great time at this movie. I think this movie nails the humor in a way that strikes me as distinctly James Gunnian.
Well, don't you think all Marvel movies are that? I mean, even Winter Soldier was funny.
Yeah, but it wasn't really. I don't think it really poked as much fun as
this is irreverent
at the premise. Yeah, this is very irreverent. And I should point out, of course, that he co-wrote the screenplay with Nicole Perlman.
Yes.
Who herself has, this is I think her first screenwriting credit. So anyway, I really liked the movie. I enjoyed the whole thing throughout, had a great time. Chris Pratt is a superhero for the future. Like he's going to be awesome, and he's established himself as a star in this film. Like really cemented himself here in a way that even like he didn't in, let's say, Zero Dark 30 or any other film or property he's been in.
He's so charming.
Yeah, so charming, so good looking. He's going to be amazing. And the action scenes are really good. Rocket Raccoon, love him, and if you had me watch the movie and didn't tell me that was Bradley Cooper, I would not have been able to tell you that was Bradley Cooper, which I think is really cool because he really stretched himself here. I think in creating this like really like you said, irreverent character, a very he's a character that just doesn't give a damn about anyone else except for himself and Groot.
Han Solo, anyone?
Yeah, there you go. And I just, he's probably my favorite thing about them. Chris Pratt is not my favorite thing. Rocket Raccoon is definitely my favorite thing about the whole movie.
And Groot is great as well. Yeah.
And Groot is great. Yeah.
I want to know how much Vin Diesel was paid for the
same amount he was paid.
Little work.
The same amount he was paid for the Iron Giant, I'm sure. So, anyway, all that stuff is great, guys. Let me point out what I thought were some of the weaknesses of this film. Firstly, I think the biggest weakness is that, like, I personally thought because you got James Gunn doing it, because this cast of colorful characters, most of whom we haven't seen or heard of before, it's just kind of the unconventional, the B characters, right? The second stringers or whatever, that they might take some chances with the narrative, with the plot line. And I think we are after. I think this is the 10th. I want to say this is the 10th Marvel film.
I think so. Yeah.
We are starting to see kind of the limitations of the Marvel story structure,
or at least for the first movie in every entry, they're very similar. Yeah.
I would say a lot of them, even including second movies, are pretty similar. Which is to say, you introduce this bad guy, he's going to do this big evil thing. And the good guys need to be defeated in some way, and then they need to come back and save the world. And that's happened in a lot of the films. And I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's worth reflecting on the fact that
definitely. Yeah.
that it's become this formula. And to this film, I think it was to its detriment. I think I was hoping to see something a little less conventional, like instead of, hey, this big guy with this big evil guy with this big, glowing thing that can destroy the universe, we must stop them. I mean, this has been the plot we've seen since the Avengers, and
this is the plot of comic books,
right? It's the plot of comic books, and so it does feel like it gets pretty. Okay, thank you, Jeff. But it is getting kind of samey, and I wonder, like, is there room for innovation in the structure of these films?
Yeah,
so that's.
I hear you, Dave. I totally hear you. And honestly, that's something I felt walking out of this movie. Right? It adheres to the cookie cutter formula that Marvel has, pretty much shown that they can just produce these movies quickly and just kind of introduce people to worlds real easily. It does take chances in a couple ways, though. Like that first scene, I've really thought hard about that first scene, and just just imagine the I don't know, like the whole thought process that went into actually putting that scene there. I won't say exactly what happens, but it is the most dramatic scene in the movie. I think it's the saddest scene in the movie, and it sets the stakes in a way similar to J.J. Abrams' first Star Trek, but you can see clearly, and we can talk more about this in spoilers, but you can see clearly the difference in what J.J. Abrams did and what James Gunn did. J.J. Abrams, it was big and dramatic, and there was loss, but it was still an action scene. This one, something really sad and meaningful happens, but it's not an action scene, not at all. And I think that was a pretty brave choice, just framing the movie that way, even though it was a short scene. That definitely made you look at the rest of the film in a very different way. So it does take some chances. I think Rocket is, if this wasn't Marvel doing it, they would try to tone down Rocket a bit. I think, some of the action, they have a lot of fun with killing a ton of dudes. In fact, one character has a giant smile after he massacres a dozen enemy soldiers. I think there are little things. This movie also shows the effect of the violence against the bad guys and when you're beating up people, I think, more than some others. So it takes little chances, but definitely not the big risks that I think, I don't know, maybe we expect to see now from Marvel.
Well, Jeff, to respond to your very sarcastic rejoinder to my concerns, I think, right, like, where is it written that all comic book films with superheroes need to be structured in the same way? I mean, aren't there other kinds of stories to be explored?
For sure.
With these kinds of characters, even in comic books, right? It's not always, hey, we must save the world from being destroyed because of a huge glowing thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, but I also in a certain way feel like you're saying I don't understand why these romantic comedies always have to have the guy meet the girl and then do something to mess it up and then get her back at the end. Like I get the I get feeling the plottiness of it, but it's sort of I share your desire for things to break the mold and continue to advance the structure. And I think as we go on, they're going to have to. And I think in a lot of ways, Avengers, while it still had a big bad enemy doing big bad stuff, I think the Avengers in its own way really broke the mold and benefited from not having to introduce you to a villain because you'd had a whole film introducing you to the villain and being able to break the team apart and bring the team together in a way that isn't quite as predictable as perhaps other movies do it. But yeah, and I hope that Marvel continues to try to push things forward. I didn't feel the template on this movie as much as you seem to be describing.
Yeah,
so that didn't bother me as much.
Especially for the origin stories, right? You kind of have to do the introductions. You have to introduce the characters. You have to introduce their friends. Much of this movie was bringing the team together and giving them a common threat so they can unite and fight against. And I do think, some of the second and third movies in the Marvel Universe have kind of, followed a similar template. But those movies, you look at Iron Man 3, and that tells a very different story in Tony Stark's life than Iron Man 1 does, because everything that happened in Iron Man 2 and the Avengers affects him going into that. This one, we are meeting these characters for the first time. And I feel like, the safest way for them to do that, to introduce them, is by going through this template. Hopefully, with the second movie, which was already announced, thankfully, hopefully they can do something new and interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised.
I just think it's kind of unfair to expect a movie called The Guardians of the Galaxy to be not about saving the galaxy from an enemy threat.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point, Jeff.
And even though it does so many things so familiarly, I think it still feels really fresh, that's why I'm giving it more credit. So even though I see the cookie cutter stuff, I give it more credit for actually being so fresh and unique.
I also think that's a very good point, Devindra. I also like your point about how, like, the first movie, a lot of them are very samey, right? The first movie,
you have to do that.
Do you have to? I don't know if you have to do that, but it's a convenient way, and it's not a bad way. But I don't know if you have to do it that way. I mean, I think even Captain America 2, I would say, definitely took some chances in a way that I liked,
right,
for sure, with the universe. So, anyway.
They're clearly working towards something with all these movies too, and I think elevating the sort of big bads that we're dealing with is part of a grander plan.
The other issue I have with this movie, and this is a rather big issue, is a lot of plot, character arcs, are just completely elided for the sake of convenience, and I think that's. They did what they had to do. I didn't feel like the movie had to be longer, but I did feel like there were numerous instances in which first of all, it crams a ton of exposition into, like, the first 30, 45 minutes. Because, like, you need to explain, like, what's going on, where you are, what the world is, and, these people are fighting these people, and these people are evil, and these people are somewhat good, and these people are good. And all that stuff is just crammed in, and it's not always super graceful. It's a little bit clunky. And I'm okay with that. Like, it's not perfect, but I'm okay with it. But I think where I really have a problem is, like, some of the character motivations, particularly with Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana, and, like, what was her whole backstory. It's explained via dialogue, but very quickly and very, like, glossed over. And I think when you're introducing these, like, 5 characters who you each want to give their own motivation to, there's limits on what you can show on screen. And as a result, the movie did a lot of telling and not showing. So I'm not saying, like, therefore the movie sucked. I'm just saying that it definitely took some shortcuts to get to where it got. And,
to that particular criticism, Dave, we're going to have to go into spoilers at some point. But I do, like, no, sorry. Like, I see what you're saying, but this is a movie that in so many ways shows you exactly how these people relate to each other, shows you little glimpses of these characters' personalities. There's one scene that's in the trailer of Groot just giving a little girl a flower that I think is, it lasts maybe 10 seconds, but it tells you so much. and it informs so much of what happens later on in the film. I think the film actually does show you a lot. It just doesn't have the time to really show you much. So there are a lot of quick character moments that are there. And honestly, I never felt like I've seen it twice at this point. The opening did not feel like they were cramming a ton of exposition at me. It felt like, this was a kid. Now we see him in space. We see him doing a little Indiana Jones type thing. We see him trying to sell something. We see who the bad guys are. It felt like, they were familiar beats, but it didn't feel like they were cramming every bit of history and backstory and everything into the opening of the film. Like, it actually felt very graceful to me because this movie does things like it just takes you to a new planet and just shows you like, oh, this is a city where people are different colors and there are at least different species here. And it doesn't really take much to explain what's going on. So I don't think it over-explains at all. It does show a lot.
All right, I'm ready to move into spoilers, talk about some of these things.
Let's do it.
Anything else? All right, let's move to spoilers right now for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Now you're looking for the secret.
Can I see this coming?
No,
But you won't find it because, of course,
you're not going to see this coming.
you're not really looking.
I have been puzzling over how it works.
You don't really want to work it out.
Who's in the box? I have been dying to tell you. I want to tell you my secret now.
You want to be fooled.
So, I guess I would say, Devindra, that you're right. There are these nice little character beats. I won't deny that.
Yeah. And every one of them gets those beats. So that's important too.
Right. I guess the biggest weaknesses for me are Gamora. Like, this idea that, oh, hey, we're just introduced to this character and she's already betraying her father. And okay, later it's explained, yeah, I hated all those people, right? Thanos stole me away and killed my family, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I did feel that was a bit glossed over. I did feel like in order for you to feel the full weight of her betrayal and escaping and so on, like, it just feels like, yeah, the film shows you these little snippets, but that's all it does. It doesn't do more than that. And an example of that is, like, the woman who betrays the Collector. You get a glimpse of how evil he is, but that's all you get. You just get a glimpse. And for some people, that may be enough. And for me, I'm just like, I feel like, the movie tries to do a little bit too much sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like you know what I'm talking about, right? The woman who I do screws over the Collector, right? But
you know what? Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying because we only get one scene with them together, but that scene is such it's such an asshole scene, right? Because I love the line, "Your people have elbows, don't they?" And that means scrub a little harder, slave girl. Like that it's a single line, but it has such a deep implication. It tells you so much about the power dynamics between him and hers. Like I do wish there was more.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. In a conventional film, you like that's enough for you to understand why these two don't like each other, or even why she hates this person and wants to escape from him. Is it enough for you to understand why she'd be willing to risk her life and grab a hold of this stone whose power she can scarcely comprehend? I don't know if it's enough.
We did see him enslave her predecessor, like her predecessor sitting right there in a bottle. And I do think too, Dave, you're saying you want these movies to take chances, yet at the same time, it sounds like you want the more conventional explanation for a lot of these things and a lot of motivations, where I think the movie does do some risky things in terms of how it explains what these characters are doing and who they are.
Well, I actually think if by risky you mean it chooses to avoid doing some of those things.
No, but it doesn't. It just does it.
It just does it in a shorthand.
Yeah, in a shorthand way. I don't call that risky. I call that he ran out of time and he couldn't do everything he wanted to do.
I mean, we could argue it's in terms of how you interpret it, but I totally see when some directors and some artists, not everybody paints in really deep, intricate strokes. And especially for a movie like this, there's probably a lot of stuff that was cut out. There are a lot of characters to juggle. And
yeah, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. I think we agree on I'm just saying there are a lot of characters to juggle, and a lot of times they took shortcuts where in a movie that might have been more satisfying, they would have shown you more to kind of illuminate these motivations. Yeah. I think the biggest weakness of the movie for me, beyond the Gamora stuff, is Thanos as a villain and Ronan as a villain.
Oh, sure,
I mean, I just think there is nothing there. Like, you have no understanding of, like, they're just plain evil. Like, there's nothing there about why is, and, you know, Mike Ryan wrote this piece today that I very much enjoyed, which is Thanos has apparently been trying to get Infinity Stones for 10 movies and has not been able to get a single Infinity Stone. And
They're hard to get.
They're hard to get, apparently.
And he's the most powerful person in the galaxy.
Yeah,
right?
you know what I mean?
know,
It's just like,
tough.
it's just why is Thanos like letting Ronan do all this stuff? What is Thanos doing all day, I guess is the question, right?
I do want to say we don't know what I read that piece, and that's a great piece because Thanos has been like in the background. He was kind of there at the very end of the Avengers, which was the first time we saw him. I think most people had no clue who the hell he was. But you know, I think the actual timelines for a lot of these movies isn't very clear. You know, we don't know when all this stuff is happening in the Guardians of the Galaxy's universe, what's going on back in the Avengers universe, in the Earth universe. So I don't know.
He's busy courting death. That's what he does. That's what Thanos do.
This is true.
Fall in love with death.
And I hope we get to see some of that too.
Do you agree? I mean, do you agree with me that the way the villains are done
I think,
in this movie,
honestly,
as
that
with
would be
many
my
more
only criticism,
right?
That would be my only criticism, especially Ronan. Thanos is supposed to be. He's supposed to be, you know, Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be
Emperor.
he's the guy behind the guy. He's the pulling the strings, and we just sort of get hints at him. I don't really have a problem not knowing stuff about him because mystery is part of what's being established right now.
Right.
Although Josh Brolin's portrayal of him is really good. Do you have to say that? Digging that.
I totally had a geekasm. Just seeing him fully realized, speaking a line. Honestly, the Infinity Gauntlet miniseries happened at a time when I was the most into comics, and like I got my copies, you know, signed by Ron Lim, and like I am so wrapped up in that, and just seeing that happening on the big screen, it was amazing.
I think the most amazing thing too, by the way, about Thanos is that they didn't really need to put much makeup on Josh Brolin. That's just Josh Brolin, guys.
He's not a bad-looking man, Devindra.
No, but he is a gruff-looking man.
Yeah.
So he was actually the perfect choice for Thanos.
Purple man. But I agree with you about Ronan. Ronan is very thin, and it really would be my only gripe about the movie is that there's not much there, and we do just see Lee Pace kind of chewing scenery and being not a fully realized character. But it didn't. There's so much fun to be had with our cast of characters that I didn't want to spend more time with the villains. I wanted to just get back to the fun guys that I was getting to know.
But if you look at like the whole Nebula Gamora situation, like it felt like there was a whole other movie there.
Oh yeah,
that just never happened. You know, and
but that's kind of the magic of having 60 years of comic books to draw from. You have this backstory that you get hints about, but the movies don't have to show you, but it's there.
It's true. I guess I feel like there's a good movie there that I would have wanted to see, and maybe we will see it down the line. Right. And maybe like this will all make sense. Like, oh hey, they took a lot of shortcuts with this Nebula Gamora situation. I just feel like Nebula was such a cool, like the character design was so cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It would have been nice to see her actually get like a satisfying character arc in the film.
Yeah.
That moment when she heals herself.
Yeah.
The moment when she heals herself is one of the coolest one of those I've ever seen.
Definitely.
That was awesome.
And the moment when they blew her up as well.
Yeah, such a cool character design. But anyway, she may come back. Go ahead.
I have to say this about Ronan. I totally agree with you guys. He is the thinnest and probably weakest element of this whole movie. They give him a couple scenes where he can really show how evil he is. Right. I really like his opening scene. It is funny, though, that this is Lee Pace, right? The mild-mannered pie maker from Pushing Daisies, and I love that he can just be so evil, like just so, or at least he's having so much fun with it. And he does some of this similar scenery chewing in the Hobbit movies too, because he is Legolas's dad. I don't think it works as well there, but it totally works here. Like he is clearly having so much fun. I wanted to see more from him just because Lee Pace is clearly having a lot of fun with this character.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ronan character design was also really good, but just not given enough to do, unfortunately. So
it's crazy the people that Marvel can get for the casting in this movie across the board was fantastic, and the fact that you see like John C. Reilly show up for it and Glenn Close show up for these like nothing roles. There's nothing there. Even Jamon Hinsu, they get such great actors to be guy number 4. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What an easy paycheck for Glenn Close, by the way. It's like, how long do I have to be there? 1 day? All right, guys, I could do this.
I mean, it probably literally was like maybe
Yeah,
3
it probably
days
was.
that she had to
Yeah.
act. So, all right. Well, it sounds like we're not in complete disagreement, but yeah, I did have issues with like how they sort of shortened some of these things. But overall, I had a great time at the movie. So, I just think like we shouldn't. Like, just because we had such a great time doesn't mean we should overlook some of the movie's problems.
No, I
now, you
totally
may not
hear that.
agree that there are problems, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to bring to light.
I
So,
totally hear that, but you know what, Dave? Like, in the midst of all of our praise, I do think we do find room to talk about
yeah,
the issues.
definitely. So,
yeah.
anything, any other thoughts before we wrap up for today, guys?
I do want to say, like, I've seen a lot of people complaining that James Gunn isn't shooting action properly or not shooting action well in this movie, and I didn't see that at all. I found all the set pieces to be really interesting and fun, and they all had their own energy and life to them. The space sequences, the big, action set pieces on their own, too. And,
Well, I thought the prison break was great.
Prison Break was great.
And
Just
you understood the geography of everything, like
Exactly.
yeah.
The moment,
Exactly.
the moment when Star-Lord goes out and sacrifices himself and takes off his mask in space, just magic, just beautiful and heroic and cool, but done in such a beautifully shot way, and the way the story elevates to that sequence is really, really great.
Now, guys, I hate to be
That's how space
David
works.
Joy
Chen,
kill
the
here.
science experts.
A killjoy
That's how
here.
space works. That's how space works.
I don't know if that's what really would have happened if someone took off their mat. Anyway.
Yeah. I hear you. I
Space
totally hear you.
crystallizes on you. That's how it works.
Well, actually, that part was realistic.
Yes,
because
like the blood vessels in his eyes.
yeah, like
start to,
you would get you would get super cold. If,
Right, but it would take like 15 minutes.
I don't know if it would be pretty quick. The part that's
I'm
unrealistic
joking.
about that scene is actually the fact that like because of the pressure differential, like you would definitely feel some pretty significant impact. In fact, I think one of the most realistic depictions of getting sucked out into space is Event Horizon. If you guys saw that movie,
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's like
that is a hard science movie.
okay. Look, Jeff, I'm just saying that one element was fairly realistic. Okay.
The only other thing that kind of was a bummer was that Drax the Destroyer, for so long in this movie, right after we meet him, he's constantly getting his ass kicked. And it never established the fact that he's legitimately awesome.
Yeah.
He's just constantly losing in fights and getting his butt kicked. But
That's a shame. Yeah, he does get some great moments of comedy, which I think are
what
just-
a great performance. I mean, he could become like, I don't know if he's going to become the next Rock, because I don't know if he's that good looking.
I don't-
No.
But I mean, he certainly held his own. Like when I was watching this movie, I wasn't like, well, that's the non-actor on screen. Do you know what I mean? I thought he did a great job.
The balls to give the clearly the least experienced actor the most the largest
biggest vocabulary.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's awesome.
Don't call me a thesaurus. Yeah. I think what I love about this movie, and this is just something I dig about all my favorite films, is that it is made up of just these perfect little moments. Right. That opening sequence is heart wrenching. I was not expecting that going into this movie, but it feels like something from the very last act of a very serious drama. It doesn't feel like something that would kick off a fun, rompy space movie, but it does, and it's legit. And I think all the other characters have their own moments as well.
And then going into that dance, going right into that wonderful dance, which is such a great
So
transition of mood.
Well, the dance, but also a bit of world building too, because he lands on this planet. He uses this machine, which I guess shows what happened in the past and shows like where this potential thing could be. And I love how we don't even need to explain that gadget.
That's great.
It just uses it, and we understand what it's actually used for. But stuff like that, like Groot has several great moments. The thing with him giving the flower to the girl, which I thought is just like a lovely. It's just like a lovely character beat. It just I can't think of how many other movies would take the time, animate a character doing a simple thing like that, to a nothing side character. And Groot has a couple moments of beauty too, right? The moments with the fireflies, which is just brilliant. The moment where he just impales several dudes and just goes insane,
and that
just
turning and
destroying
smiling
them.
afterwards.
Yeah,
Turning and smiling, but also I love Batista's look to Chris Pratt during that scene. He's like, oh, I'm not going to stop him. I was like, let's see. He's clearly having fun. But then the final like sacrifice, which is clearly like Vin Diesel back in Iron Giant mode again. The We Are Groot moment is totally like Superman.
Very moving. Very moving.
And totally Superman. But I love how we had all these little beats of Groot before where you love him. Even though he says 3 lines through the entire movie, you love this character.
3 words.
And yeah, three words. But I think that's a pretty significant feat. Like they just give him so much to do. And
I love the moment where they're in the jail and he's explaining the plan, and Groot just goes over and yanks the thing down.
Yes.
My favorite moment in the movie was actually when Nebula is about to give that huge speech, and Drax just completely takes her out with a bazooka.
Yes.
And it felt like it was kind of
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, well, not even Indiana Jones. I mean, it just felt like it was encapsulated the whole movie's attitude, the irreverent attitude. It's like, okay, in a typical superhero movie, you'd have this person going on this huge monologue. We're just going to have a bazooka blow this person up midway through. I really like that element.
I love that you can have that moment and still have the obligatory fight between that character and one of our heroes as well. So I guess what I was saying too is like all these little moments for me when a movie does all this, it doesn't really. The fact that a villain doesn't really connect them as much, the fact that some of the motivations don't quite work. Although I think the motivations are there for Gamora, but of all the main heroes, she's probably the weakest one in terms of motivations, or the weakest one in terms of interests too. Because everybody else gets to be fun, and she has to be kind of the David Chen of the group, right?
Yeah. So she has to ruin everything.
Yeah, she has to be the sourpuss.
She has to be the green-colored, person whose life was destroyed earlier.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but she gets a couple moments too, like the almost kissing scene. A couple of great things as well. So for me, little moments when they're done so well can really transcend. I think bigger issues and narrative issues.
Can you already imagine the moment when Gamora meets Bruce Banner? And there's some sort of quip about green skin that we can all agree will be humorous.
And she won't get it.
You're calling it. You're calling it right now.
I want to call something else. I want to call that one of the dates that they announced as being a movie in their next slate of movies is a Nova movie. I think Nova is in the next batch. Because they're clearly set up the Nova Corps. I was waiting for some sort of reference to, an origin for Nova.
So what do you mean by a Nova movie? Just because clearly you know something more.
Well, there's a...
Wait, so let's say actually, we've already said spoilers for the film. Let's say spoilers for the comics coming up
for continuity.
Right now. Okay? Yeah. All right,
well,
ahead.
Nova is a big character. He was part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, actually, but in the comics. So he's a member of the Nova. He's the Earthbound version. He gets the power of he has the helmet and he flies around. He does cool stuff. So the Nova Corps are these super soldiers in space. It's basically like the Green Lantern Corps, but Marvel's version. So he's an interstellar space dude, but he's Earth's version of that. And I think we're going to. There's already it's interesting that they put in the hooks for Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you about. Who is that, Jeff?
His name is Jason of Sparta. He's an alien. He's like a super handsome alien. There's lots of really, really dense Marvel cosmic the cosmic side of the Marvel universe is really convoluted, but it's really interesting to see how much stuff they're pulling from, like Yondu and Korath. These are all characters that have been in the cosmic side of the Marvel universe for a long time. The Collector, of course, is a huge part of that fabric. So they've got all of that richness there, and with the success of this movie, it's going to be interesting to see how far they go with the cosmic side. Like, I want me a Quasar movie. I love Quasar. I want a Quasar movie. I want a Nova movie. Like, build out that side of the universe and have them bump into each other in the same fun ways that the Avengers characters bump into each other on Earth. And then, of course, when the inevitable Infinity Gauntlet movie comes out, we can have the cosmic side and the Earthbound side team up and have this massive Jeff's wet dream movie.
Well, that's what we want to fulfill, Jeff. Your wet dream.
I can ask something. Howard the Duck, guys. Howard the freaking Duck.
I didn't see that part.
I didn't. Was that the post credits thing?
Yeah. Oh well, you guys saw in the press screenings, right? So when when you go back, that is what's in the normal screening. But everybody's talking about it at this point. I do think that's just kind of a funny nod to an odd bit of Marvel history that nobody ever wants to talk about again. But I love that they gave him a voice. They fully rendered him. Like it looks. It was just kind of a weird, funny thing to see at the end of this movie where I guess like when you think they can't surprise you anymore, there's that one thing. So I know. I love that they would do that. And I hope this doesn't mean a Howard the Duck reboot because nobody wants that, right?
All right. I think we can wrap it up here, guys. Music for this podcast episode comes courtesy of AdamWarrock.com. Find more of our episodes at /filmcast.com. Email us at /filmcast@gmail.com. Stay tuned to hear what we'll be reviewing next week. In the meantime, Jeff Canada, where can you find more of your work on the internet this week?
Oh, lots of places. You can listen to me talk about video games on my show DLC at 5by5.tv/DLC. You can watch videos of stuff that I'm into over at my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/KanadaJeff. It's with 2 N's and 1 T. Also, listen to the new comedy show I'm doing. It's called We Have Concerns. It's getting a lot of great feedback. I hope you check it out. WeHaveConcerns.com.
Devindra Hardware.
On Twitter at twitter.com/Devindra. I write about tech every day at venturebeat.com. And I also do a Legend of Korra podcast at republiccitydispatch.com.
Find me at davechen.net and twitter.com/DaveChensky. That's Dave Chen, SKY. You can also follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/ChenDavid. So next week, guys, we are going to be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new Jonathan Liebsman movie.
And eating pizza.
Yeah, that review is probably going to come a little bit early, so look forward to that. And that's going to be it for the Filmcast this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you later.